Hey guys, we've just had this Evo 8 dropped off to us and it's an absolute weapon of a car. I really love them. And I want to show you guys a couple of things that I've spotted today that are like imperfections. Super common for an early 2000s car is that the plastics will be faded. And we want to show you guys how to take care of them today. As you can see on the scuttle panel here and the mirror, a couple of parts of the car have also been resprayed, and we want to try and buff the car up to match the colors as best as possible. And if you come around here with me, I'll show you another thing that I've spotted today. So this car's got an aftermarket exhaust fitted to it, and it's got a bit of corrosion on it. It's super easy to get rid of if you just use the right stuff. So I'll show you guys how to get rid of that with the metal polish. And keep following me around, and I'll point out the last thing that we want to get to today. So naturally these lenses tend to go yellow with sunlight, and it's had about enough time for a restoration to be required. So if we go over this with the plastic Headlight Restoration Kit, we should get another few years out of these lenses with them looking really good. Alright, so first things first, let's foam the whole car. We'll use the Rich Foam shampoo and our Karcher foamer here, which attaches to our gurney. So first you want to add approximately maybe 900 ml-ish of water into your foamer. Obviously extremely important that you use the Sonax water, which is available at your tap. Then you want to fill about a cap full of this Rich Foam shampoo and put that in your foamer. Alright, cool. So now that we've sponged down the whole car with our Mitt, we'll do the wheels now. So I'll usually leave them to last as they can be a bit more dirty normally, but seeing these are already quite clean, I'm happy to do it with my wash mitt. So I'll just go around every spoke individually and wipe it all down to make sure that any brake dust or contaminants are being wiped up. For a wheel that's not as clean, I would usually pre-wash it with our acid-free rim cleaner and give it a blast off with the gurney before doing any of this with your Mitt. Because as we can see, it's picked up fairly minimal dirt, but that's still enough to put this wash mitt through the wash machine. Now the car's hosed down, there's just a bit of water left on the surface. That's where we use the Flexi Blade to just get rid of the majority of the water. Just go over it backwards. Super easy to dry your car off. Right, now that we're in the detailing studio, the final step is just using a drying towel, getting rid of the last few drops of water, and then we can start clay barring the car. So if you want a really good finish, you're gonna have to clay bar your car before you start. The technique when clay barring is basically to really lubricate the panels before you start. In this case, we're using clear glass. This green clear glass here is really good because it doesn't evaporate that quickly. We want to be quite generous on the panels. Give it a good spray down, then grab out your clay bar, and then just go in straight motions across the panel, and that'll pick up all of the contaminants in the surface. You'll know when you're done because you will no longer feel and hear the contaminants on the surface. And you listen closely to the clay bar, you'll notice that it's actually makes a sound whilst it's picking up the contaminants in the surface. So if you listen closely, you can hear the clay bar actually picking up the contaminants on the surface right now. Now that the whole car has been clay barred, we're going to have to start thinking about what the correct polish is to use on this type of paint. And it's naturally quite a porous, soft paint that's got a fair bit of oxidization on the top layer of it. So we won't go with something too aggressive because we obviously don't want to cut the paint down too far. That's why we've decided that the best polish to use for this specific vehicle to give that white depth back is an NPT 3 polish, which I'll be showing you right after this. Also, we have done a 50-50 tape off that we're going to show you half the bonnet before and half the bonnet after we polished it. It should be quite an impressive change, I believe. So we've decided we'll be using a dual action polisher with a soft polishing sponge on it with the NPT 3, which has a high polishing effect and minimal paintwork protection. It's more so used in the DIY range, but it's an excellent product. So we've just finished polishing this side of the bonnet with the NPT 3 and we're pretty happy with the outcome. It's actually removed nearly all of the discoloration, some of the scratches as well, but we don't want to be cutting that too deep as it's a fairly soft paint and we don't know the exact history of it. But yeah, the 50-50 comes amazing and that's what we're going to do for the whole car now. So we've just quickly taped off the black trims to prevent any discoloration or damaging, but generally this polish doesn't really damage those trims, but because we have a solid white paint, sometimes the white paint actually transfers onto the pad and the white paint from that can actually discolor the trims at times. Usually with a vehicle that has clear coat over the top, that's not so much of an issue, but we would usually also use a different polish for a vehicle that has clear coat on the top. So let's give this a quick buff down. So when it comes to headlight restorations, this is the Sonax solution to it. So once you open your box, you'll find that there is an instruction manual to show you exactly how to do everything. Super easy to run through. So you want to start out with the sanding pads, which come in both 1000 and 2000 grit. These are used with the P-ball, which is conveniently there for both the sanding and the polishing. So once your headlight has been completely sanded and all the yellow residue is off of the lens, you want to remove the scratches with the lamb wool pad, which is also attaches to the P-ball like that, with the polishing compound. This polishing compound is specifically made for plastic lenses, so you'll just apply that to the wool pad and then thoroughly polish the lens to give that high gloss. And once you've done that and both the headlights are finished, this is the coating that gets applied on top of the ready polished lenses. To apply the coating, these small microfibers are included. There's 15 in the packet, and that's pretty much the complete solution to restoring your headlights. Before we start, we always want to quickly tape off around the edges because obviously we're sanding the lens and we don't want to sand onto the paint whatsoever. That's why I use a bit of masking tape, and I just quite generously like to tape off around the edges just to prevent any damage. So now that we've done that, we need to get our sanding block, such the P-ball, and put our first 1000 grit sandpaper on it. So what we want to do is we want to slightly wet the surface, as it's a better application when it's wet, better to sand the surface. And I'm in this case using clear glass, but you can also just use straight water out of any sort of spray bottle You just want to wet the surface a little bit, and then grab your P-ball. Just generously sand it in straight motions as such. And basically, the more you sand it, the better the outcome will be at the end, because we really want to get rid of all of that yellowness on the top of the surface. And once you've sanded the entire headlight, just dry it off with a microfiber. We'll see that the surface has been matted off a fair bit as we're trying to extract all of that yellow fading. And once we've finished sanding with the 1000 grit and we've extracted all of the fading from the lens, we now want to go over it with the 2000 grit sandpaper to decrease the depth of the scratches that the 1000 grit sandpaper has put into the lens. So now I've just got the 2000 grit sandpaper, put it directly back onto the P-ball, the Velcro, go spray, spray, spray again, and then repeat the exact same process one more time. Just want to really thoroughly give it a good 2000 grit sand all over the headlight again. This will just make the polishing much easier, give you a much nicer outcome at the end. If you do have a machine, you can do this with a small backing plate as well, but the P-ball also does a good job. You just have to put in a touch more elbow grease. Dry the lens back off again with your microfiber. And we're pretty much ready to start polishing this headlight now. So at this point, we'll be changing to the lamp pad onto the P-ball and the headlight polish. So I've just put a liberal amount onto the pad to prime it for the first polishing. So as we see that there, we can start now to work the sanded surface. So this is when you want to start working it for quite a while until the headlight regains that shine that we had before it started fading. And once we've finished buffing it with the headlight polish, grab your microfiber again and just polish off all the polish residue. You can really see how much clarity has come out of that lens just from doing that. And once the headlight protection goes on after that, it'll make a massive difference. So now that the headlight's completely buffed, we're going to put the headlight protection on, the headlight coating and the polishing cloths with the kit. So we'll basically just tear the lid off this, or tear the top off it, and just generously apply approximately half of the headlight coating to your polishing cloth. Now you can see the liquid on there, and just apply it to the lens evenly across the entire lens. This would provide approximately a year of protection, but usually lasts much longer for most vehicles. Let that set for approximately 30 seconds, then fold your polishing cloth in half. And once that's set, you can go straight back over it with that same cloth and get rid of any excess residue. After the coating's been applied, you want to leave it for approximately a day without getting wet, and you would want to wait approximately a week before washing the car for the next time for the coating to cure out completely. And that's a complete headlight restoration. And here's my favorite part of every detail. At the end of the details, I always go over the full car, do all the plastics with the plastic trim restorer. Makes a really good difference. So basically just apply it to the super soft applicator, a bit of the restorer, and then you gently massage it into the plastic panels that have faded. The plastic trim restorer makes a massive difference to the car's overall appearance at the end of the detail, so definitely don't skip that. Guys, we've just finished detailing the Evo 8. Come with me and I'll show you what we've done. I want to start by showing you guys what we've done with the headlights. We've done a full restoration on them and they look literally like brand new. I love the outcome of those. And then have a look at this. We've just done the trim restorer on all of the plastics around the whole vehicle, and it's made a massive difference to that. Also, we had a bit of an issue with this car where a few of the panels had been resprayed, and as we saw at the start of the video, the shades of white weren't aligning at all. And now after cutting these back and polishing them, it's come up awesome. Like, you can barely see a difference in the white shades anymore. Now let's have a look at the back of the car. The exhaust tip on this car was, it had seen a fair bit of weather, so there was a bit of surface rust on it, and we wanted to tidy it up as good as we could. So we got a bit of 2000 grit sandpaper on it to remove all of the oxidation and surface rust that we had on it, and then we got the Sonax metal polish on it. I hope you guys enjoyed that transformation as much as I did. It's made a really good difference to this Evo 8, and I'm stoked to show you guys what's coming up on the next video. It'll be my BMW E30. If you guys want to see it, subscribe, like, and follow us on our socials.